This past week, there was a lot of big time fights, but most notably, above all else, was one of the best fights we've had of this century so far. What we witnessed was two of the great pound for pound fighters going at it, combating each other, and fighting an incredible fight. We saw Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol go 12 rounds in what will be one of the most technically sound fights that you will ever see. And that's the one I'm going to start off with today. As we know the outcome from that fight, Artur Beterbiev became undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world for the first time in 25 years, defeating Roy Jones Jr.'s record that had 3 belts at that point in time, and he became the very first champion with a grand total of 4 belts. Artur Beterbiev has solidified himself now as being a likely Hall of Fame boxer because of this weekend's performance. What happened in that fight was obviously a little bit controversial on the back end, though, because what we had a situation was that, well, Beterbiev won by majority decision. The scoring cards that involved a 114-114, 115-113, and 116-112. And that's what I want to discuss in a moment. But first of all, I want to appreciate greatness. In boxing over the past 10, 15 years, big fights weren't happening that often. Sure, they happened, but it's been 25 years since an undisputed light heavyweight champion had been crowned. It was 25 years since a heavyweight undisputed champion was crowned. We've got both of those happening now within what has been 5-6 months time span now. That is huge for the boxing sport. And what we saw was an incredible fight, one that you could easily claim to be fight of the year. What happened this weekend was two guys that are truly two of the top pound for pound fighters in the world. And let me say this, fast forwarding a little bit, pound for pound, they both leapfrogged Canelo Alvarez to officially become number 4 and number 5 in the pound for pound ranked by Ring Magazine. Rightfully so. I was hoping that's what was going to be done because, listen, when you have two guys go at it the way that they did, closely contested fight where you could have gone either way, and these are against two of the top guys. Both guys proved how dominant they were. Giving a guy or disciplining a guy because of a loss would have made no sense. And so getting them number 4 and 5, rightfully deserved, and I like to see that from what they ranked there. So now you have two of the guys in the top 5 pound for pound in that fight. But let me break down what went down in this fight, because Dmitry Bivol started off hot, and then the back end of the fight, obviously, Beterbiev ended the fight stronger. And when we came to the result, I personally would have viewed it as a draw. I also could have seen it because a couple of the rounds it was very, very close. I could have seen one of the rounds, you could have flipped it, and I could have seen Bivol actually winning it. And I would be okay. I can see where one would see the perception that Beterbiev would have won as well. Not overall having a fit about any of that. End of the day, it was a close fight. No problem with the fact that Beterbiev won. Here's my problem. The 116-112 scorecard. There was no way, in any way, shape, or form, that you could have come up with a 116-112 scorecard in that fight. That had to be extreme bias to be able to make that scorecard right there. And that's my problem I want to approach today. You cannot have a scorecard of 116-112 in a fight that was as closely contested as that was. It makes no sense. Everybody you talk to says that was a great fight, closely contested, neck and neck battle, could have gone either way, and then you have a 116-112 scorecard. That is a problem with boxing. These judges need to be held accountable because this is getting ridiculous. You cannot be having a 116-112 scorecard when the fight was neck and neck, where many people could have said it was a draw, and yet you have a 116-112 scorecard. Absolutely ludicrous right there. And I think that's a massive problem that needs to be addressed, and it is what it is at the end of the day. But that's the big problem I have with what happened in that fight. Nothing else to do with anything else, just that scorecard alone. And so when we go about this, though, I want to make sure I point this out as well. So much respect is deserved towards Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Both guys are two of the most humble champions we have. Both guys have been incredible in the way they've handled the win or loss. Beterbiev has not been cocky, has not been prideful. He's handled it with great respect. Great respect seeing him, how he's handled this whole becoming undisputed. He's handled it great. And then for Bivol, he's handled the loss better than I think I've seen any champion handle a loss. Made no excuses. And let me stop you in your tracks right there. Some people will say, hey, Bivol's now gone and tried filing to file a protest against all 4 belt commissions to try and protest the fight. That's not going against what he did there. What's happening in that situation is trying to prevent what now we've had happen, where the IBF foolishly is trying to go make Beterbiev fight some nobody, essentially. And I know we don't want to say nobody, but essentially that's what he is. and ruin the whole undisputed thing. That's what Bivol's trying to stop here. But Bivol's made no excuses, and I have greatly appreciate what he's done there. So both respect to them. And that's why I want to say this. There is one thing that needs to stem from this fight. We need the rematch. That's all I want. Sure, I could go list some other great light heavyweight names. Sure, I could go say Beterbiev, if you could go up to cruiserweight or something would be cool. I could say all these different things. Here's what I want to see have happen. Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, right back in Riyadh season, fighting again, undisputed championship of the world in the near future. Nothing else I'm going to even suggest there. We need this rematch. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has already declared that he wants to make the Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol rematch. And on top of that, as I said, Bivol, he's already protested that he wants, against all 4 sanctioning bodies, that he wants to seek an immediate rematch. Let's get the job done. We need the rematch to happen. There's not a bigger fight you could probably make in boxing still. Not only was it the biggest fight you could have made at boxing leading up to the fight, they went above and beyond, performed at such a high level, where now, once again, we're saying, hey, this is just as big of a fight, if not bigger, the second time around. We need this to happen. It's the biggest fight to make in boxing. Most certainly the biggest fight you can make for both those two guys involved. Make it happen. Get the deal done. We want to see Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev back in the ring again. That's what needs to happen. Next.